11 o'clock, I'm here again, coming into your homes. I bet you're sick of me. I bet I feel like a piece of your furniture, don't I? Right, I'm going to be very conscious of sitting on my hands this morning. Just going to wait for a few people to come online. Hiya, Jane. How are you this morning? All good, I hope. I'm just going to wait for a few other people to come online and before I start, so I don't have to keep repeating myself, because I'm sort of losing my voice a little bit at the moment. I've been really naughty actually, because hi Eileen. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I put the wrong teeth in this morning, put my dodgy ones in. I've been really naughty actually. Morning, Debbie. I've only just done the card, which is why it didn't go up last night, because I was busy with the sow, and that was much busier than actually what I thought it was going to be. So I'm still trailing all through it now. So if you haven't had a reply from me, don't fret. Okay, I will get back to you as soon as I'm physically as soon as it's physically possible. See, I told you, wrong teeth this morning. Hello, Debbie, the other Debbie Kimber. Did you get my message, Debbie? Did you get my message about your Lavinia? About doing a Facebook Live with your Lavinia? Hi, Linda. Linda, don't tell me that you've got your brew and your biscuits. I've got absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. Hi, Sandra. Yeah, nothing. My husband said to me, oh, Sharon, I'll get you a cuppa in a minute when you finished your Facebook Live. I was like, oh, right, okay. Okay, could do with it now, but hey-ho. Hi, Beverly. Good. Morning, Charlie. So, is that a yes or a no? Is that a yes, I'm going to do it, or a no, that I'm not going to? Morning, Hazel. I'm sorry that it feels like I'm in your house. That must be pretty awful, actually. Oh, you don't know how to do a live, right? Okay, I'll give you a hand with that. Morning, Margaret. Morning, Elaine. Morning, Shirley. All right, lovely. We've got lots and lots of you here. So, hello, Tracy. I can have a bit of banter with you now on here, can't I? You've got one eye on work and one eye on me. Okie dokie, okie dokie. Louise, hiya, my lovely. Hope you're okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I could do with that. Really could do with that. I haven't had my caffeine yet this morning, so I still feel a bit boggle-eyed. Hi, Ginny. All right, we're up to 29, so I'm going to stop gabbling on, and I'm going to start my Facebook Live. How you doing, Ginny? You all right? Right, okay. Oh, I love you too, Tracy. I missed you. I don't know what, today, sorry, I'm going to gabble on a bit longer. Today I woke up, and do you know what? It was the first time, and don't get me wrong, I do miss everybody, but hi, Louise. It's the first time today that I've thought to myself, oh my God, I do really miss all my ladies at the shop. I miss going to Eileen's and seeing all the ladies. It's horrible. Hi, Liz. Hi, Gay. Hi, Becky. Clicking around, I know. I think there is. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Lorraine. I think there is a tab on there, and I don't know if anybody else can help me, where you can actually get notifications when I'm doing a Facebook Live. There's something that you click, and when I go live, it will come up. I'm not actually too sure how to do it. I know it's come up on Eileen's when I've been watching Eileen's. Hi, Siobhan. But I can't remember how I did it. So, Eileen, if you know, that would be really, really good. If you could just let us know. But I think there is a tab that you can press, and it says Sharon is going live. You can either come on and watch it, or you can just delete it. But anyway, right, let's get on. So this morning we are going to be doing this card here. Okay, I'm very, yeah, it's horrible, isn't it, Elaine? I really miss people, really miss them. I saw Becky from afar yesterday, just very briefly, just from afar, and I was like, oh my God, I really missed you. I do. I miss you too, Debbie. I miss everybody. Okay, there we go. If you, Hazel, if you look back on some of these comments, you'll see you'll see that you might be able to figure it out. Yes, but there's a time difference because it doesn't tell me when you've just started. Oh, I see. Oh, I know, Elaine, you are all on your own. Well, hopefully 11 o'clock every morning when you get me bursting through your computer screen, your laptop or your phone, you can... you won't feel so lonely. Okay, so I'm sending you a great big virtual kiss and a big hug because I miss you all. Okay, so here we go. I'm really into my pink and mane at the moment. Yes, that is that. Should we just have a little chat for about 20 minutes? But no, you're right, Margaret. It's you have made lots of new friends, lots of new virtual friends, and the lovely thing for me is that I've actually been able to reach so many more people because this is the first time I've really done this as a regular thing, and yeah, we've actually got such a larger crowd of people now, so it's lovely. It is lovely, and we've had some really lovely comments, so that's really nice. Yeah, and we're all going to have our down days, aren't we? So and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I keep saying to everybody that I speak to, you know, don't be afraid to FaceTime me if you're feeling a bit teary, a bit down. We all get like it. I felt like it when I got up this morning. I felt like it on Sunday. Just a little bit of background information about me. I suffer with anxiety. So my anxiety, which was actually quite bad yesterday, which was why I was playing with my hands, you know, it's not anything to be ashamed of. I, you know, for a long time struggled because I felt embarrassed, because I felt like that. There was no reason for me to feel like that. But it is what it is. It's nothing to be ashamed of. A lot of people suffer with it. We all have good days and we all have bad days, but there's always people there for you. It's not always easy. Hello, Margaret. But that's just the way it is. But I don't want to sort of depress anybody or anything like that. But my door is always open, whether it be virtual, on the telephone, however at the moment. So I'm always here for anybody at all. Right, so let's get on to this card making because I can see it's going to be lunchtime and we won't have made a card. So this is what we're using. We are going to be using the third release, Tracy Scott, PS189. Okay, so she's releasing 3 stencils on Thursday. This is the third one, okay, or one of the 3 that she's releasing. This is the last one, so we have used all 3 over the period of a couple of weeks in all our classes. So we're going to be using this one today. We're also using Pink and Mane Sunshine Die and Pink and Mane Sunshine Words. We are going to be using my very favourite Julie Hickey Sunflower. Oh, this is just my favourite. Just my favourite. So we're using that and the die. And then we're using one of Courtney's from Paperartsy, one of her stamp sets in the background. Okay, we're using this one, which is ECF03. Okay. As well as Wow Embossing Powders, Distress Oxides, and Archival Distress Ink, Enamel Accents. And I think that's just about it. So, Lindsay, hi! You made it this morning. Good, I'm pleased you made it. It's lovely to see you. Right, so I'm going to now turn you around, point you down. Okay, I'll try not to shake you around too much. And we'll get started with our card making. So let me just move you back a little bit. And over. Okay, so everybody can see, hopefully. Let me just, now I have to remember I'm going back on the image bits. So let's, other way. Okay, lovely. Right, okay. So to start with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my dried marigold Distress Oxide. And what I want to do is I want to put some colour in the background. So on this card, you can see, okay, I've got a colour, the marigold, just around the edges. So I'm using my stencil brush because I want it to be quite deep, but I want it to be, I don't want the harsh lines that you can sometimes get from I should be doing this on a bit of paper actually, so I'll have to mop this up after. But sometimes when I'm using the smoothies, I get a little bit of a harsh line, and I don't want that this time. I just want a really nice feathered effect, a feathered edge. Oh dear, Lorraine. Now, actually, Lorraine, while I've got you on here, the Claire's are from one of my distributors called PI, and unfortunately they've closed at the moment. So I've got a couple of the colours that you wanted, but the rest of them won't be back in stock until they reopen. Okay. The colour box ones are also on a delay as well, because it's taken quite a long time to come through customs. My Julie Hickey is releasing some new stamp set, or she released some new stamps at the end of March, which actually all got caught up in customs as well. But they are arriving here today. So tonight, when I go on with the rest of the Facebook Live sale, I might give you a sneaky peek of those. So they will be in use in the days to come, but they are beautiful. Okay, right, so as you can see, my technique here is just to bash it on. Love that word, bash. Okay, but you still end up, because I've used a brush, you still end up with that nice feathered look, and it's not too heavy. Okay, let's just give that a wipe over. Right, I'm going to put down a sheet of card because I'm getting in a bit of a mess here. Right, okay, so what I also want to do is I want to add some text in the background. Okay, so this is my text. On the back of my text stamps, I always put an arrow so I know which way up they go, because when you look at that stamp, it's quite difficult to know which way up it is. Right, so I'm going to add some of my marigold oxide, and I'm just very lightly stamping that, okay, because I want a bit of a patchy effect. Okay, you see that? So just a bit of a patchy effect here, and one there, and one down the bottom, just here. Oh, and I might put a little bit back up there. Okay, right, so as you can see, it's just very, if I bring that close, you can see. Hi, Lindsay. That's the other Lindsay. Okay. Right, so let's pop that to one side for the moment. Actually, I'll just give that a quick wipe because I'm going to use that again. Right, so now what I want to do is I'm just going to dry that off. Just give that a quick dry. Make sure all my oxides are dry. Okay. Because what I need to do is go over it with an anti-static pad. Okay, the reason why we're going over it with an anti-static pad is we're going through the stencil with clear embossing powder, and what I don't want, sorry, we're going through with a clear ink and then we're putting clear embossing powder on, and what I don't want is the embossing powder sticking all over, otherwise we'll lose the clarity of the stencil behind. So just gentle tapping all over, and then I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to lay that down here. You can stencil tape it down if you want to. Let's go, actually let's put it just off the side a little bit, like so. Okay. Hi Debbie. Hi Linda. Thanks for joining us, guys. So I'm using my Wow embossing pad and I'm using a smoothie, and I am just going to dab. Okay, I'm going to dab, re-ink, okay, because I want it to go right the way through that stencil. As I say, if you want to anchor your stencil down, use the Sweet Poppy low tack tape, because that's the best one to use. So I'm just going to make sure I've got plenty of coverage there. That's good. Take the stencil off. into my tray, and then with clear super fine embossing powder I'm going to add that too. Okay, so you can see that. Can you just see that? Okay, so I've put the powder on. I'm not going to heat it yet. It won't dry out or anything like that, but if I've got the powder on it, then I can actually see where I've put the stencil. So I'm going to come in from the top here, being careful not to chip the powder off what I've already done. And again, you're going to clear ink through your stencil with your smoothie, and then again add your powder. Now at this point I'm going to heat this, because if I go to put another one in this corner, what's going to happen is I'm going to chip away. So I need to heat that first, and then I can put that third one in. Yeah, they're coming in today, Liz. They're coming in today, so I'll pop them aside for you. I know they're fantastic. I use them so much. It's not very often I get a stamp set and that I like so much I can't stop using it, but that is one. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you. Morning, Heather. How I can turn this. So I'm doing this on heat number 1. Heat it up before you put it on. I always forget to do that. And then you'll see it there. You can see that today, can't you? You can see that starting to change. Now I'm just going to turn this up to heat number 2. Otherwise I'll be here forever. I'm just going to speed that up. And you can see that I'm chasing that embossing powder around. So as it changes, I chase it to the next area. Turn it round, and again we'll start. Let me see if I can angle that so you can see it. So as soon as it changes, I move my heat gun and I chase the embossing powder around so that I'm not overheating it. So when you don't overheat it, you end up with a nice raised effect, and you can just see the effect there. Okay, so I'm just going to add one more in at the bottom, because as you know I like to do everything in 3s. So let's pop one down here. Through my stencil. Okay, that's it. That's my stencil all done. I'm going to add my powder. Pop that back. And pop that away. And we're just going to heat that up. And again, angle that so that you can see that changing. Look at that. It's just stunning. I love it. You never get fed up with this. There we go. So you can see how much quicker it is when I use the one with the small nozzle rather than the big open nozzle. So there we go. Okay, so I've now got my stencil on there, and what that's actually done now is that has encased all the colour underneath. So if I put any colour on top of that, okay, it won't move. It won't move at all. Okay. Right, so let's, first of all, we are going to go in with shabby shutters. Okay, shabby shutters. And you'll begin to see what I'm talking about. So let's just go around the edge. I'm using a smoothie for this because I want quite a heavy application. And I'm going round in a circular motion. I'm going round and I'm bringing some of that shabby shutters forwards. Okay, now I'm just going to bend this over, because what I don't want to do is put my hands into the inks, because it will leave finger marks, because your hands have got quite a lot of natural oil in them. So we're just going round down the bottom here. Okay, there we go. So that's my green. So can you see the way I've got my green on there? You can, Ginny, no problem. So that's my green, but you can still see the orange, which is underneath where I've embossed. So now I'm going to go in with my milled lavender next. Okay, milled lavender. And again, pop that over, and I'm going to go right over everything so that it blends in nicely. Again, using my smoothie, and go right the way over your project. Okay, I'm going to turn that round so I can just do that bit there. Okay, there we go. There we go. Hi Ginny, hope you're well. Now I'm just going to, with a clean, this is clean, believe it or not, and that doesn't look very clean, but it is clean. Clean cloth, and we're just going to go over the top of that, and we're going to buff off any oxide that I've just put on there. Okay, obviously it won't buff off what's underneath it, but it will buff off what's on top of it. Okay, so there we go. It is, isn't it, Ginny? Very pretty. I'm doing pretty at the moment. There we go. Okay, right. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my script again. Now, when I'm lining this up, I tend to use my board, so I will get my glass mat. So I know I will get my glass mat, and I'll put my acrylic block on there so I know that it's straight, and then I'll line up my stamp against one of the lines underneath. Okay, and then I know that that is on there perfectly straight. Hopefully. Okay, so I'm going to be using one of the little green peeled paint archival inks. And with this, you need to work quite quickly because I need to put it on, but then I need to rub it off of where I've embossed. You certainly don't want to leave it on there, otherwise it will dry on top of the embossed or where you have embossed. So I'm just going to add a little bit here and a little bit over here. Okay, and I'm going to take this and I'm just going to rub it off of there. Okay, not too hard because I don't want to rub it all off, but just off of my embossing. Okay, so you can see I've got a nice little bit of text coming through there as well. Okay. Hi Jenny. I know, Ginny, my dog started barking. I don't know what they're doing next door, but she obviously doesn't think much of it because, mind you, she doesn't think much of anybody walking past. She's more of a guard dog than any other dog I've ever had. I think she's got little dog syndrome. Right, okay, so we've got to that stage. So what we're going to do now is we are going to create, here we go. So those of you that have just joined, that's the card that we're making. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the sunflower in the middle. Now I know that sunflowers are normally orange, yellow, but I wanted to do mine lilac today. So we're using, not lilac, milled lavender. So we're going to use that on there today because I think actually you can turn it and it looks a bit like a daisy. So it can be whatever you want. In the crafting world, there are no rules-ish. There are a few rules that you have to follow, otherwise you end up with mud. But on the whole, if you want it to be a fairy, if you want it to be a daisy, it can be a daisy. Right, so let's take our sunflower, Julie Hickey sunflower, and I am going to stamp and emboss that in gold. Okay, that's wow, super fine gold. I'm just going to pop these underneath so I've got a bit of a platform. You can use your stamp press if you want to. And as I say, I like to stand up when I'm embossing or stamping. You get a bit of pressure behind it, not pushing too hard, but make sure there's even pressure, that your acrylic block doesn't move. Let it sit there just for a minute so that that absorbs into the card and then off. But they're going to take our gold super fine. And again, I'm using Paper Mill Direct Super Smoothie White Card 300 GSM, as I always do. It's my go-to card. Okay, and I'm going to heat that up. Tiger balm right to my elbow. Ah, that's good news, Ginny. I can't remember what you did. Did you have a sore shoulder, a sore elbow? I do remember something about that actually. Okay, so start at the top. Don't put your fingers over the air vents on the side because it'll trip out. And again, we're just going to work our way round and we're going to chase that embossing powder as it turns. Okay, well, you can see that it turns to a nice bright gold colour. Okay, that's about it. If we angle that under the light, I can see if there's any areas that I've missed, which I haven't, so that's good. So what we're going to do now is we are going to die cut that. Now, where did I put? It's over here, because we've never ever got enough room, have we? Right, and the best way to marry this up is you've got one leaf here that's, oh, hang on, sorry. You've got one leaf here, sort of goes over, so I normally tend to try and pop that on there, and then I just keep moving it round until I find where it goes. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I did it first time. So that marries up with the middle section. Okay, so you can cut out the first section, then the second section, because in there you get a middle as well. You do get a middle and a honeycomb and a little bee. So as I say, the middle section you can cut out too, but for this project I'm just using that centrepiece because I do want it to look a bit more like a daisy. So let's pop that on here and let's die cut that out. Okay, so lay that down. I'm going to use a little bit of my Sweet Poppy low tack tape, which I'm forever plugging because honestly it really is the best. Put that over there. Now, before you do that, you could have actually coloured this in. It doesn't matter if you do it now or before. I'm going to do it obviously now because I've die cut it out. So, taking my milled lavender again and my smoothie, I'm just going to tap over each leaf and add some colour to that. And then just to get a bit of shading, just going to hold that on there. I'm going to take some more colour and I'm just going to whiz it around the middle, okay, just to make that colour stronger in the middle. I'm going to come out a little bit so that that darkness pulls up into the leaves and it makes it look like there's a bit of a shadow. Okay, so can you see that? It's a really nice quick way of getting just a bit of dimension into your flower. So let's pop that to one side. So that one's ready. We're going to die cut Sunshine, which is this one here, which I've already done because you don't need to watch me die cutting. And like we've been doing the last couple of days, because I just love these sentiments and they're so apt for at the moment. I just haven't used them for a long time, and We've got full stock of them in the shop. We've got lots of different phrases. I just haven't used them, so it's been nice because I've sort of come across crafting bits that I'd forgotten all about. So I'm going to pop that in there. Okay, pop that on a bit of card. Just taking a little bit of that off because that's my finger. And throwing that there. Okay, so right, okay, so that's, I shouldn't have done that really. Pop that back in there. There we go. Right, so I'm using my bit of paper to pull that up. Let me check that I can get that in line for you. Okay, and I'm going to heat that. And again, I'm going to turn that up. I don't think I am actually, because that's changing really quickly, and I'm chasing that again. Can you see that turning? And I'm actually going to do this twice because it's a nice bold sentiment. I just think it looks nice when it's got double the embossing on it. So I'm just going to give that a couple of seconds just to dry off. I'm going to take my pad again. It dries dead quick. Look at that, that's already dry. And then I'm just going to pop it back in. I'm going to grab it from the other end this time so that the S gets some coverage on it. So pop that in there. And then we're going to take that out. If you've got a pair of tweezers, it'd be so much easier. For some reason, I actually haven't got a pair of tweezers. But not to worry, we can make do. So again, I'm just going to emboss that. And it really does look lovely after you've done it twice. Okay. Here we go. Let me show you. So you've really got a really lovely sunshine there, nice and thick and raised. Let's pop that to one side. So we've got that ready. And now all we need to do is stamp our sentiment. So I'm using sending you sunshine and smiles. I like that, that's really lovely. So I put both of these on a pad. In fact, you know what, I'm not going to do that because I had trouble cutting them off. So I'm going to do one at a time. So just tap, 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 tap. And stamp that into the corner. As I said before, I always do it like this into the corner because then I've only got to cut twice. And hopefully, now can you see that? Can you see where the, that's my fingers. That's where my fingers of oily, and I've got some embossing powder stuck on there. So, two options. You can either do it again. I just get a nice damp, whoops, let me show you, nice clean paintbrush. It's got no ink on it. And I just smooth that off. In fact, you know what, that's not particularly clear. So I'm going to do that one again. So let's start again. Right, so let's get our anti-static pad. So anti-static pad. Get rid of all those nasty fingerprints. Tap, tap, tap. Don't push too hard because you don't want to splay the words out. I don't mind using that word today because I've only said it a couple of times. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and up into my embossing powder, and that should, that's better. There we go, that's so much better. That's so much better. Okay, and we need to just do the other one as well. So I'm just going to pop a little bit at the bottom there, just in case I touched it. Tap, tap, tap. And stamp that into the corner. Okay, just let that sit there for a couple of seconds. 1, 2, 3. And then throw your embossing powder over the top. Yeah, look at that. That's so much better now. So you can see when you do things properly, they work out so much better. Let's pop that over there. And let's heat that up. So I'm just going to use number 1 for this because it's quite a fine sentiment. I don't want to over emboss it. And again, I'm just chasing it. Hold it into the light to check there's no dull areas. Normally if there's a dull area, it means that it's not changed enough. And that's, there we go. Okay, just going to take my trimmer. Get rid of that dirty piece of card. And let's just trim these up. So there's my sending you there. Smiles. Put that there, so that can be used later. Oh, I need to get rid of that end bit. Okay, let's take that end bit off, like so. And that is our and smiles. Away, and now we're ready nearly to put everything together. The only thing left to do is to put off. I'm not going to put any more distress ink on that because what's on there is plenty, and I'm just going to tap that around the edge, and that just softens that white edge just a little bit. So if I show you the two together, you can see the difference. Actually, let me do it on white paper because then you can really see it. So can you see the way, oh, no you can't see that, hang on a minute, let me get my bearings here. Right, okay, there, is that better? I think you can just, I don't know if you can see that, let me do that, there, okay. So you can see that that's the one that's got the ink around it and that one hasn't. So I'm going to ink up this one, just around the edges. And that's just framed those and softened those edges for me. Oh, you know what I have forgot to do? I haven't, so on this one you'll see that there is gold embossing around the edge. And I've forgotten to do that. So let's get our embossing powder back, because we haven't finished with that yet. Put that in there. Okay, so really nice, quick and easy way of getting a nice embossed frame is to take your embossing pad and just, oh, I'll tell you what to do first. I always forget this. First of all, let's give it a nice wipe with our anti-static pad because there are lots of fingerprints on that. Okay, then I'm going to hold it on the actual embossing bit, and then we are going to just go around the edge, just like so, that bit. And you can go around all 4 sides before you throw the powder on. Okay, and that last bit here. Okay, I'm going to pop that into my tray, and then I'm going to put my embossing powder. I need to put this through a tea strainer because I've got bits of card in here, I can see it. I use a tea strainer, I just put all the embossing powder through it and it pulls out all the lumps of card. It's a really good way actually of decantering it and taking out all the yucky bits. Okay, let's pop that back in there, clean that up after. I'm going to take just a little dry brush and I'm just going to take back the pieces of embossing that I don't want. You can do it at this stage, but obviously once it's heated, that's it, it stays there. You can't do anything about it. Take that off. There we go. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to use the high one on this, just to go around the edge. And again, I'm chasing my embossing powder as it changes. Now, if you see a little bit of smoke coming off of there, that's the oxides, okay? That's the pigment in the oxide burning. doesn't actually affect the colour particularly, or I've certainly not noticed that it affects the colour. But it's not my heat gun overheating, I promise. Just trace that around. If you use the first one on here, which is probably the better one to use, but just for time's sake I've used number 2, you won't get that happen. So you can see now we've got a nice frame around our piece of art. Right, let's move this out of the way, because all that's left to do now is to pop it all together. Let me grab a card base. Okay, so this is just a 6x6 card. Make sure that your card is actually the right way round, so you want all your script writing round the right way. Okay, so that is that way round. I'm going to use some double-sided tape. I always use finger lift double-sided tape just because it's so much easier to use. You can use glue for this one, as the project itself does tend to stay fairly flat. I like to use double-sided tape when I've got a lot of product already on my card and it tends to bend up. So the double-sided tape tends to help it stay flat. So as you can see, it's quite easy just to pull that off. And then if you stand up over your project or your blank card, you can hopefully pretty much get it in the middle. Okay, so that's my base. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flower and I'm just going to pop my finger here, and I'm just going to mould that between my thumb and my finger. And I'm bending up those leaves very slightly so they've got a little bit of movement in them. Okay, and you can carry on doing it. If you've got a ball tool, just be a little bit careful that you don't chip off the embossing on the centre. Okay, but you could use a ball tool or whatever you find easiest. I just find using my thumb and finger just helps me give that just a little bit of dimension now. So using my Cosmic Shimmer glue, I'm going to add a little bit into the centre there, and I'm going to pop. And this is also great because if you've got any areas on your card that you don't like, you can pop your flower over them. I'm going to pop that there, and then just turn over my sunshine, and I'm just dotting the glue over the back. And because I've got 2 layers of embossing powder on here, melted embossing powder, it's actually quite rigid. And here, and I'm going to lay that just under my flower, like so. Don't worry if you get little bits of glue like I've got here, they will dry clear. In fact, if you look closely here, you can't even see it, I put my flower there originally and I had to pull it off and it looked awful, but it's disappeared now, you wouldn't even know. So there's my sunshine in place. Okay, and then I'm going to put foam pads on the back of these. Just put my glue away. Some foam pads here. So let's pop 1, 2, 3, 4, and just 1 in the middle there. Oops. Okay, pulled one off by mistake, so let's put that. Okay, so let's put in first Sending You, because then we know where to put and smiles. Right, so I'm going to put that just over to one side here. Okay, so that's Sending You. And as I say, this is Sunshine and Smiles. I love that, that's really nice, especially on a day like today where it's so beautiful out there today. Sunshine and Smiles, there we go. So we're nearly there. Okay, I'm just going to take my enamel accents again. Again, as I say every day, don't shake them like glossy accents or anything like that. You don't shake them. If you get any little bubbles in them, then just prick them with a pin. So I am just going to add lots of little dots to the centre of my flower. Why? Because I can. I need to do my eye, the dot on top of my eye, because you know me, I don't do that one. So there we go, and then I'm just going to do a few little randoms just over the card, just for a bit of interest. And there we have it, our Sending You Sunshine and Smiles card. There. And I actually think if you was to send that to anybody at the moment, that would make them smile when they opened it up. So, back to me ugly face. Here we go. Okay. Right, well, I hope you all enjoyed that today. Whoops. Hope you all enjoyed that. I am going to try and do, because I know a few of you are waiting for me to do this. Thank you, Ginny. Waiting for me to do this. Because of the sale and because of all the paperartsy releases that are going on at the moment, and we're running the Jofi live, on Saturday, I've got a little bit behind, so I will do these. It will probably be next week now, because I need to do them in stages, because they take about 24 to 36 hours to dry. So yeah, so bear with me on that. Haven't forgotten, I will do that. Okay, not too sure what we're going to be doing tomorrow yet. I'll have a little think about that over the course of the day. But if there's anything, like I keep saying, if there's anything that you want to see, you want me to demonstrate, please let me know, and I will look into doing that for you. But enjoy the sunshine today. Get out in that garden, open up your windows if you're in a flat or an apartment, and just relax, stay in and be safe. Take care, everybody, and I shall see you tonight at 7 o'clock. That is our live sale. I think it went pretty well last night, so we will be repeating that tonight. That's the last time I will go on. I have posted it onto our Facebook page. And yeah, so that will be, as I say, the last one will be tonight, and then I will be sorting out all the orders and getting them in the post to people or delivering. So I'll see you guys at 7 o'clock tonight, and for those of you that are joining us for our Facebook Lives, I'll see you at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Okay, take care, lovely to see you all, and stay safe. Mwah. Bye.